I never believed in Bigfoot, not even a little bit. I'd heard the stories, seen the grainy photos, watched those documentary shows late at night when I couldn't sleep. Always thought it was garbage. People seeing bears, making stuff up for attention, whatever. But I'm telling you right now, I was wrong, dead wrong, and I've got the video to prove it. I'm not going to show you the video right away though. First, you need to understand how I ended up in that cabin, alone, with that thing trying to break through the wall. Because if I just showed you the footage without context, you'd probably think it was fake. Hell, even with context, you might think that. But I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, start to finish, and you can make up your own mind. So let me back up and explain how I ended up in this mess. I'm a single dad, have been for about 4 years now, got 2 kids, boy and a girl, ages 9 and 11. Great kids. Their mom's not in the picture anymore, hasn't been for a while, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Point is, it's just me and them most of the time. Last July, both kids got into this 2-week camp program up north. Outdoor stuff, canoeing, hiking, all that. They were so excited about it, couldn't stop talking about it for months. The camp ran the last 2 weeks of July, which meant for the first time in years, I had actual time to myself. 2 whole weeks. Now I work construction, framing mostly. It's hard work, long hours, but it pays the bills. Between the job and taking care of 2 kids of my own, I don't get a lot of downtime. So when I dropped them off at that camp on a Monday morning and drove away watching them wave in my rearview mirror, I felt this weird mix of relief and loneliness hit me all at once. I went home that day and the house was too quiet, made me uneasy. So I called my foreman, told him I was taking a few days off. He wasn't happy about it, but we just finished a big job and the next one wasn't starting till the following week, so he agreed. Gave me until Monday. That gave me Thursday through Sunday, 4 days. I decided right then I was going to do something I hadn't done in forever. I was going to go somewhere alone, away from everything, and just breathe. No kids asking for snacks every 10 minutes, no job site drama, no bills piling up on the kitchen counter. Just me and some peace and quiet. I spent Monday and Tuesday getting ready, went online and found a cabin rental. The place was way up in the mountains, about 3 hours north. The listing said it was remote, no neighbors nearby, no cell service. Perfect. I could fish, maybe do some hiking, drink a few beers on the porch and watch the sunset. Exactly what I needed. The cabin was cheap too, $50 a night, which should have been my first clue that it wasn't exactly a luxury resort. But I didn't care. I wasn't looking for luxury, I was looking for quiet. The photo showed a simple wooden structure surrounded by forest. 1 room, small kitchen, separate bedroom. Basic but functional. Good enough. I packed light, threw some clothes in a duffel bag, grabbed my fishing gear, my old tackle box that used to belong to my dad. Stopped at the grocery store Wednesday evening for supplies. Basic food, nothing fancy. Grabbed some steaks for grilling, picked up a case of beer. The good stuff. The kind I don't usually buy because it costs too much. Figured I deserved it. Left Thursday morning around 9. The drive took about 3 hours like the listing said. First hour was normal highway, nothing special. Second hour, I got off onto smaller roads winding through rural areas. Started seeing more trees, fewer buildings. By the third hour, I was on dirt roads winding up into the mountains. The pavement ended and my truck kicked up dust behind me. The road got narrower, rougher. The trees pressed in closer on both sides. The higher I got, the more remote everything felt. Passed one other cabin about 2 miles before mine, saw a beat-up old Jeep parked outside but no people. Other than that, nothing. Just trees and more trees. Pine mostly. Thick forest that looked like it went on forever. That last stretch of road was rough. Deep potholes, loose gravel, sharp turns with steep drops and no guardrails. Had to take it slow, 15, maybe 20 miles per hour at most. Finally, around 1 in the afternoon, I came around a bend and saw the cabin. It sat in a small clearing, surrounded by dense forest on 3 sides. The front had a little open space, maybe 30 feet of clear ground before the trees started again. That's where I parked the truck. The cabin itself was pretty basic, looked like it had been built 40, maybe 50 years ago. Wood siding, slightly weathered but solid. Small covered porch out front with 2 old chairs. The roof was metal, a stone chimney on one side. I grabbed my bags and headed to the door. The key was supposed to be under the mat, but when I got there, the door was already unlocked, actually standing open a crack. I pushed it open slowly, called out hello in case someone was inside. No answer. Figured the last renter probably just forgot to lock up. Didn't think much of it at the time. Inside was exactly what I expected. One large main room with a small kitchen area against the back wall. Sink, mini fridge, 2-burner stove, some cabinets. The rest of the room had a worn couch, a table with 2 chairs, and a fireplace. Off to the side were 2 doors. One led to a small bedroom with a double bed. The other door led to a bathroom, basic but functional. I unpacked, put my groceries away, made myself a sandwich, cracked open a beer, sat out on that little porch. The view was nice. Trees everywhere, mountain peaks in the distance, birds chirping. The air smelled clean, like pine and earth, exactly what I'd hoped for. That first evening was perfect. I made a simple dinner, pasta with jarred sauce, sat outside eating it as the sun started going down. The sky turned orange, then pink, then purple. Stars started coming out. More stars than I'd seen in years. I cracked open another beer and sat there until it was fully dark, heard normal sounds, wind in the trees, branches creaking. Maybe an owl hooting somewhere far off. Normal forest stuff. Went inside around 9:30, locked the door out of habit. Read my book for a while in bed. Some thriller about a guy tracking a serial killer. Eyes got heavy around 10:30. Turned off the light and went to sleep. Slept great. Best sleep I'd had in months. Woke up Friday morning to sunlight coming through the bedroom window. Took me a second to remember where I was. Then it hit me and I smiled. 4 days of this, 4 days of peace. Checked my phone, 7:15, no signal, like expected. The listing had been clear about that. No cell service, no Wi-Fi, just you and nature. That was the whole point. Got up, made coffee on the 2-burner stove, sat on the porch with it, just taking in the quiet. The morning air was cool, fog hanging low in the trees. The sun was breaking through in places, creating these shafts of light through the mist. Beautiful. After breakfast, I grabbed my fishing gear and headed out. The cabin owner had mentioned in the listing that there was a stream about 15 minutes into the woods, said it had good trout fishing. Found what looked like a trail leading into the trees and followed it. The trail was narrow, probably made by deer more than people. Wound through the forest, over roots and rocks. I walked slowly, taking my time, heard birds calling back and forth, saw a deer about 50 yards off watching me. Beautiful animal. It bounded away when I got closer. Sure enough, about 15 minutes later, I came to a stream. Clear water, moving pretty good over rocks, looked perfect for trout. I spent most of the morning there, casting, reeling in, just enjoying being out in the quiet. The sound of the water was peaceful. Caught a few trout, nothing huge but decent sized, 8, 9 inches, threw most of them back, kept 2 for dinner. Around noon, my stomach started growling, packed up my gear, grabbed the 2 fish, and headed back to the cabin. Made a simple lunch when I got back. Sandwich and chips, cleaned the fish on the porch, wrapped them in foil, put them in the fridge for later. Lay down on the couch to rest my eyes for a minute and ended up taking a nap. Woke up around 2, When I got up, I decided to explore a bit around the cabin, just walking around, seeing what was out there. The forest was thick, lots of pine trees, some birch mixed in, thick undergrowth in places. I didn't go far, maybe a few hundred feet in each direction from the cabin, just getting a sense of the layout. One thing I noticed, and I remember this clearly, was how quiet it was. I mean, there were sounds, wind in the trees, branches creaking, the occasional bird. But it felt quieter than it should have been, like something was missing. Just felt like the forest was holding its breath. I actually said it out loud to myself. This place is really quiet. Then I shrugged it off. Of course it was quiet. That's why I came here. That evening, I cooked up those 2 trout I'd caught, fried them in a pan with some butter and salt. They were good, way better than anything I could have bought at the store. Fresh caught always tastes better. Had another beer with dinner on the porch as the sun went down. Read more of my book. The serial killer was getting closer to being caught. Good stuff. Read until my eyes got tired, around 10. Everything was peaceful, exactly what I'd needed. Went to bed that night feeling more relaxed than I had in years. Saturday morning started the same as Friday. Coffee on the porch, simple breakfast, everything normal. The weather was perfect, not a cloud in the sky. I decided to take a longer hike that day, really get out into the forest, see more of the area, pack some water and snacks in a small backpack, put on my good hiking boots, headed out around 10 in the morning, followed a different trail this time, or what looked like it might have been a deer trail. The path wound deeper into the forest, away from the cabin, heading up a gradual slope. The hike was nice, good exercise. The scenery was beautiful. Towering pines, patches of wildflowers in the clearings, birds everywhere. I kept track of landmarks so I wouldn't get lost. A distinctive dead tree, a pile of boulders, a stream crossing. The kind of things you remember on the way back. Learned that from my old man years ago. Always know the way back. Did that for about an hour, just walking, enjoying the quiet, thinking about nothing in particular. My mind was clear for the first time in forever. Then I stopped to take a drink of water, pulled the bottle out of my backpack, was standing there on the trail taking a long drink, when I looked up and saw something through the trees. Way off in the distance, maybe 150 yards away, hard to tell exactly with all the trees between us. There was a figure, standing completely still, just standing there between the trees, perfectly motionless. At first I thought it was another hiker. Made sense, right? Remote doesn't mean empty. But something about it felt off immediately. The figure was too still. People don't stand that still, especially when they're out hiking. You shift your weight, adjust your pack, look around. But this figure was like a statue, not moving at all. And it seemed tall, really tall, taller than seemed normal. Even at that distance, even with the trees in the way, it looked too tall. I screwed the cap back on my water bottle, put it in my pack, kept my eyes on the figure. It still hadn't moved. I called out, not loud, but loud enough to carry, said hello. Waved my hand over my head, big motion so they'd see it, nothing. The figure didn't move, didn't respond, didn't wave back or call out. I called out again, louder this time. Hey, hello. Still nothing. The figure stood there, motionless. Then it moved, but not like a person who just heard someone call out to them. Not like someone turning to look or raising a hand to wave back. It moved backward, quickly, smoothly. 1 second it was there, the next second it was gone. Disappeared deeper into the forest, fast, way faster than seemed possible. I stood there, staring at the spot where the figure had been. What the hell was that? I called out again. Hello? Anyone there? Nothing, just trees and silence. Told myself I was being paranoid. Had to be another hiker, someone who was camera shy or didn't want to be bothered. Some people come up here specifically to avoid other people. That made sense. But I couldn't shake this uneasy feeling, something about the way that figure moved. Too quick, too fluid, like it had just melted back into the forest. Wrong somehow. I stood there for another minute, maybe two, just looking at the trees, half expecting the figure to reappear. It didn't. Finally, I decided to keep going with my hike, kept following the trail, heading uphill. But I kept looking over my shoulder, couldn't help it. Every 20 yards or so, I'd turn around and scan the forest behind me, looking for that figure. Never saw it though, just trees and more trees. Continued the hike for another 30 minutes or so, but my heart wasn't in it anymore. The unease had settled into my chest, that weird feeling you get when something's not right. I decided to head back to the cabin, turned around and started retracing my steps, used those landmarks I'd memorized. The dead tree, the boulder pile, the stream crossing. The walk back seemed to take longer, felt like the forest was watching me. Which was stupid. Forests don't watch, but I couldn't shake the feeling. Got back to the cabin around 1. The clearing felt safer than the deep forest, open space. The truck was there, solid and real. The cabin looked welcoming, made lunch inside, just heated up some canned soup, sat at the small table eating it, but I wasn't hungry. Kept thinking about that figure in the woods, kept thinking about how tall it looked, how fast it moved. Tried to read my book after lunch, but I couldn't concentrate. Read the same page 3 times and didn't absorb any of it. Kept looking out the window at the tree line. Nothing though, just trees swaying in the breeze. The afternoon dragged on. I tried to relax, tried to recapture that peaceful feeling from the day before. Couldn't do it. Something had shifted. The forest didn't feel peaceful anymore. It felt like it was hiding something. As evening came on, I made dinner. One of the steaks I'd brought, cooked on the 2-burner stove, came out pretty good. Sat on the porch eating it, watching the sun set behind the mountains. The forest seemed even quieter that evening. The birds had stopped singing, no squirrels running around, just silence broken occasionally by the wind. I went inside earlier than I had the previous nights, around 8:30, while there was still some light in the sky. Locked the door, checked the windows, made sure they were locked too. Every sound made me tense. The cabin settling, wood creaking, wind against the walls. Normal sounds, but they all seemed threatening now. Took me a long time to fall asleep that night. Kept waking up at every little sound. Finally fell into a fitful sleep around midnight. Sunday morning I woke up late, around 9, hadn't slept well, kept waking up throughout the night listening to sounds outside. Lay in bed for a while after waking up, staring at the ceiling. Told myself I was being ridiculous, letting my imagination run away with me. I'd seen another hiker yesterday, that was all. Someone who wanted to be alone, nothing weird about it. The figure had been far away, probably looked taller than it actually was because of perspective. And the way it moved, disappearing into the trees, that was just because of all the trunks and shadows between us. Made it look faster than it was, tricks of the light, got up, made coffee, decided I was being paranoid. Too many late-night Bigfoot shows. This was just a peaceful cabin in the woods, nothing to worry about. Decided to go fishing again, clear my head, get back to why I came up here. Made some breakfast first, eggs and bacon, sat on the porch eating it. The morning was beautiful, sunlight streaming through the trees, birds starting to sing again, normal. After breakfast, I grabbed my fishing gear and headed for the door. That's when I saw them, footprints in the dirt, right there just off the porch steps in a patch of soft ground. I stopped dead, stood there on the porch, fishing rod in hand, staring at the prints. At first I thought they were mine, from the past few days of walking around. But these were different, much bigger, way bigger. I set my fishing gear down carefully and walked down the porch steps. Knelt down next to the prints. They were huge. I wore size 11 boots, and these prints were easily twice the size of mine, maybe more. Had to be 18 inches long, maybe even 20. The prints weren't from boots. They weren't from any kind of shoe I recognized. The shape was all wrong. They looked almost like a human footprint, but stretched out, longer, wider, and I could see what looked like toe impressions, 5 of them, just like a person. But they were too big, too elongated. The proportions were all wrong. The toes were longer than any human toes. The ball of the foot was massive. The heel was huge. I stared at them for a long time, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. The depth of the prints was what really got me, though. Deep impressions in the dirt, really deep. I pressed my hand next to one of them to compare. My hand barely made an impression in that same dirt. Whatever made these prints was heavy, really heavy. Had to weigh 300-400 pounds at least, maybe more. My stomach was doing somersaults. I stood up slowly, legs feeling shaky. I followed the prints with my eyes. They came from the tree line, crossed the clearing toward the cabin, went around the side of the building, then back toward the trees. Like something had been circling the cabin, walking around it, circling it while I was inside, while I was sleeping. I started following the trail of prints, moving slowly. My heart was pounding in my chest. Could hear the blood rushing in my ears. The prints went all the way around to the bedroom window. Right there in the dirt beneath the window, several prints overlapping each other. Deep impressions all layered on top of one another. Like something had stood there for a long time. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe longer, standing at my bedroom window, looking in, watching me sleep. I felt my breath coming faster, felt cold despite the warm morning air. Looked at the window from the outside. It was about 5 feet off the ground. Whatever made these prints was tall enough to look in easily. I went back to the front of the cabin, then followed the prints as they led back into the forest. The stride length was enormous. Each step was maybe 4 feet apart. Whatever was making these prints covered ground fast. Followed them about 50 feet into the trees. They were easy to follow in the soft dirt and pine needles. Then they hit a patch of rocky ground and disappeared. Stood there in the trees, breathing hard, trying to think. What the hell were those prints? Too big for a person, way too big, and the shape was wrong anyway. Those toe impressions, not human. Could it have been a bear? Bears sometimes walk on their hind legs, right? But the shape was wrong for a bear. I'd seen bear prints before. My dad used to take me camping when I was a kid, taught me how to identify different animal tracks. These weren't bear prints, the toes were wrong. Bear prints have claw marks, these didn't. And the whole shape was different. These looked almost human, but too big, wrong. I went back to the cabin, kept looking over my shoulder at the tree line, checked all the windows from the outside, all intact. Whatever had been out there hadn't tried to break in. Just circled, just watched, went back inside and locked the door behind me. Checked all the windows from the inside too, made sure they were all locked. They were. Skipped fishing, didn't want to go into the woods, stayed close to the cabin all day, kept checking the windows, kept looking at the tree line. Made lunch, but I barely touched it. My appetite was gone. Tried to read, but couldn't focus. Couldn't think about anything except those prints. The afternoon dragged on forever. Time seemed to slow down. Every minute felt like an hour. Every sound made me jump. A branch cracking somewhere in the forest, wind rustling the leaves, everything sounded like something approaching. Around 4 in the afternoon, I went out to my truck. Needed to make sure it would start. Needed to know my escape route worked if I needed it. Opened the door, got in, turned the key. The engine fired up immediately. Reliable. Good. Let it run for a minute, listening to the steady rumble, then shut it off. Felt a little better knowing the truck worked, that if I needed to leave fast, I could. Went back inside, made dinner early, around 5. Wasn't hungry, but knew I should eat something. Made one of the steaks, but it tasted like cardboard. Forced myself to eat half of it. As darkness started falling, every creak of the cabin made me tense. The sun setting felt threatening, like darkness was coming to hide something. I decided right then that I was leaving in the morning. First light, soon as I could see well enough to drive, I'd had enough. Whatever was out there, whatever made those prints, I didn't want to know what it was. Just had to make it through one more night. The sun was getting low, maybe another hour of good daylight left. I realized I should bring in some firewood from the pile outside. There was a stack of split wood about 20 feet from the cabin. I didn't plan to use the fireplace, didn't want to draw attention with smoke or light, but having the wood inside felt safer somehow, like I was preparing. I opened the door and stepped outside. The evening air was cool. The forest was that kind of quiet that feels heavy. Walked across the clearing toward the woodpile, trying to act normal, trying not to look at the tree line even though I could feel my eyes wanting to dart that way every few seconds. Got to the woodpile and started picking up logs. That's when I noticed the trees. 3 or 4 trees nearby, right at the edge of the clearing, had marks on them. Deep scratches in the bark. I stopped, log in my hand, and stared. Set the log down and walked closer to get a better look. The scratches were high up, 7, 8 feet off the ground, some even higher, way higher than I could reach, way higher than any normal animal could reach. They were deep too, gouged into the bark like something had raked claws down the trunks. On one tree, there were 3 parallel gashes, each about a foot long. Deep grooves where bark had been torn away. The wood underneath was light-colored, fresh. Sap was still oozing out in places, sticky and clear. These hadn't been here when I arrived. I was sure of that. Would have noticed something like this. These were new. Had to be. Made within the last day or 2. I reached up but couldn't even touch the lowest mark. Stood on my toes, stretched as high as I could, still couldn't reach it. Whatever made these was tall, really tall. Looked at the other trees, same thing, deep scratches, high up. Some looked almost deliberate, not random, like patterns, like something had done this on purpose. Marking territory, maybe. On another tree, the scratches formed what almost looked like 3 parallel lines going straight down. Each line about an inch wide, a foot long. The bark was peeled away in strips. The force needed to do that must have been incredible. I felt my heart hammering in my chest, felt cold sweat on my back despite the cool air. Looked around at the tree line. The forest seemed darker suddenly, the shadows deeper. Felt like something was watching me from those trees. Couldn't see anything, but the feeling was strong. Overwhelming. I grabbed an armful of firewood, didn't bother being selective, just grabbed whatever I could carry. Moved quickly back toward the cabin, trying not to run but walking fast. Real fast. Got to the door, fumbled with the handle because my hands were shaking. Got inside and locked the door behind me. Put the firewood down by the fireplace, went to the windows, looked out at the tree line, nothing visible. Just trees and shadows. But the feeling of being watched wouldn't go away. Checked all the window locks again, all secure. Checked the door lock, solid. Sat down at the small kitchen table. My phone was sitting there. Picked it up and looked at the photos I'd taken earlier of the footprints. Had taken maybe 10 pictures from different angles. Zoomed in on them now, studying the details. The toe impressions were clear in some shots. 5 toes, each one elongated. The ball of the foot was massive. The heel was huge. Definitely not human. Definitely not bear either. Something else. Something I'd never seen before. What the hell was out there? Started thinking about trying to drive out right then. It wasn't fully dark yet. Still had maybe 40 minutes of decent light. Could probably make it down the mountain road if I went slow. But that road was treacherous, sharp turns, steep drops, no guardrails. If I got stuck or went off the edge, I'd be in worse shape than I was now. At least here I had shelter, had walls and a locked door. Better to wait until morning. Drive out in full daylight when I could see everything clearly. Just had to make it through the night. Just one more night. Looked out the window again. The sun was setting behind the mountains. Shadows were getting longer, darker. The forest was turning into a wall of black. Made myself eat something, opened a can of soup, heated it on the stove, forced down half of it. Tasted like nothing. My mouth was dry, throat tight. Set my keys on the small kitchen table where I could grab them easily. Made sure my phone was charged as much as the battery would go. 8:30. The sun was down now, full dark outside. I turned on all the lights in the cabin, the main room, the bedroom, the bathroom. Wanted everything lit up, didn't want any dark corners. Sat on the couch, phone in my hand, listening to every sound, the cabin settling, wood creaking, wind outside, branches scraping against the roof. 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10. Every sound made my pulse spike. 10:30. Decided I should try to sleep, get some rest before the drive out in the morning. Needed to be alert for that rough road. Went to the bedroom, kept all my clothes on, boots and everything. Lay on top of the covers with my phone beside me on the bed. Figured if something happened, I needed to be ready to move fast. Left the bedroom door open, left the hall light on. Could see into the main room from where I lay. Could see the front door, the windows. Tried to calm down, told myself I'd leave at first light. Just a few more hours, closed my eyes, tried to relax. Could hear my own breathing, could hear my own heartbeat. Wind picked up outside, branches scraping against the roof in a steady rhythm. My eyes grew heavy despite everything. The adrenaline was wearing off, and I was exhausted. Around 11:30, I started to drift off. Sleep came in fits and starts. Light sleep, easily broken. I woke suddenly, eyes snapping open in the darkness. Didn't know what woke me, but something had. Lay perfectly still, listening. Reached for my phone beside me on the bed. The screen lit up when I touched it, 2:17 in the morning. Lay there, phone in my hand, listening, there. A sound outside, faint but definite, like something moving through the underbrush. Footsteps, heavy footsteps, slow, deliberate, crunching on pine needles and twigs, walking around the cabin. My mouth went dry. The footsteps were loud enough to hear clearly even through the walls. Whatever was making them wasn't trying to be quiet, just walking, moving around the perimeter of the cabin. I sat up slowly, quietly, moved my legs off the bed, set my feet on the floor. The footsteps continued outside, around the side of the cabin now, moving toward the front. Stood up carefully, crept out of the bedroom into the main room. Moved as quietly as I could. The floor creaked under my weight. I froze. The footsteps outside stopped. Silence. Complete silence for what felt like minutes, but was probably only seconds. Then the footsteps started again, coming to the front of the cabin now, to the door. I could hear breathing outside, heavy breathing, deep, not human, not like any animal I recognized. Each breath was loud, raspy, like air moving through a huge chest. Then it happened. A loud bang. Something hit the door, hard. The whole cabin shook. I felt it through the floor. I jumped back, nearly dropped my phone. Another bang. The door rattled in its frame. The deadbolt held, but the whole door flexed inward. Whatever was out there was trying to get in, trying to break down the door. I stood frozen in the middle of the room, every muscle locked tight. Silence again for a moment, just that heavy breathing outside. Then the footsteps moved, going around the side of the cabin toward the bedroom. I heard it at the bedroom window, heard something testing it, pushing on the frame. The old latch rattled but held. A grunt from outside, deep, guttural, frustrated. The footsteps moved again, around to the back of the cabin now, to the bathroom window. Had I locked it? Couldn't remember. Heard sounds at the bathroom window, scraping, testing. But then the footsteps moved again, back toward the front. This time the sound was different, not banging, scratching, scraping. The sound of wood splintering. It was attacking the wall, the front wall to the left of the door, not trying the door anymore, going straight for the wall. The sound got louder, more aggressive, wood cracking, breaking. Whatever this thing was, it was tearing through the wooden planks with its bare hands. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely hold my phone, but I managed to open the camera app. If I didn't make it out, if this thing got me, maybe someone would find the phone. Maybe they'd find the cabin. Maybe they'd see what did this, had to document it, had to record what was happening. I crept closer to the front wall, staying to the side, trying to see without getting too close to the growing hole. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it might explode out of my chest. The scratching had turned to tearing, the sound of wood being ripped apart. Another plank gave way with a loud crack. I could see it from where I stood, a gap in the wall. Darkness outside showing through, maybe 8 inches wide. A foot tall, started recording. Pointed the camera at the wall. My hand was shaking so badly the video was shaking too, but I kept it pointed at that hole. Another plank ripped away. The sound was deafening in the small cabin. The wood screamed as it split. Another plank, then another. The hole was getting bigger fast, big enough now that I could see through it into the darkness outside, see the trees, see shadows moving. The creature was working fast, methodical, ripping away one board at a time, each one splintering under whatever force was being applied. The nails pulled right out of the frame. The wood was old, dry, it didn't stand a chance. The hole was maybe 2 feet wide now, 2 feet tall, and still growing. Then the movement outside stopped. A moment of silence. Just breathing, that heavy, deep breathing. Then movement in the gap, a shape in the darkness, something moving closer, coming to look inside. A face appeared in the opening, pushed through into the light from the cabin. And I saw it clearly for the first time. It wasn't human, wasn't quite like an ape either, though it was closer to that than anything else. The face was dark, covered in matted black fur or hair, thick, coarse hair that looked wet or oily. But the features underneath were solid, heavy, wrong. The skull was massive, longer than a human skull. The brow was huge, jutting out over the eyes, a thick ridge of bone that cast shadows over the eye sockets. The jaw was enormous, protruding forward, powerful looking. The nose was flat, wide nostrils. The ears were small, pressed close to the head, almost hidden in all that hair. But the eyes, God, the eyes were the worst part. They caught the light from my phone screen, reflected it back. Pale yellowish color in the light, like animal eyes at night, but bigger, much bigger. The irises were huge. The pupils were dark holes in the center. They weren't dull eyes, weren't blank. There was something behind them, intelligence, awareness. This thing was thinking, calculating. It knew what it was doing. It was looking at me, looking directly at me through the camera, its eyes locked onto mine. And I swear I saw recognition there, understanding. It knew I was watching it, knew I was afraid. The creature's mouth opened slightly, just a crack. I could see teeth, large teeth, yellowed with age or use. The canines were long, sharp, but the molars were flat, built for grinding. Another grunt came from its throat, louder now, deeper. I felt it in my chest, felt it vibrate through the floor. Then it pushed its face closer to the gap, trying to get a better look inside. The smell hit me. A thick, musty odor poured through the opening, like wet dog mixed with something wilder, something that lived in the forest and never bathed, strong enough to make my eyes water, strong enough to make my stomach turn. I stumbled backward a step, still recording, still pointing the camera at that face in the wall. The thing pulled its head back slightly, then with tremendous force, slammed something against the wall. A shoulder, maybe, or its whole body. The remaining planks cracked. The hole grew larger, 3 feet wide now, 3 feet tall. And still the thing was working on it. An arm thrust through the gap, massive arm covered in dark hair. The hair was thick, matted, with bits of leaves and twigs caught in it. The arm was corded with muscle, thick as my thigh, maybe thicker. The hand at the end was huge, easily twice the size of my hand, maybe 3 times. The fingers were thick, ending in dark nails that were more like claws. Curved slightly, sharp-looking. The hand grabbed at the edges of the hole, fingers wrapping around the broken planks, pulled, tore, making the opening bigger with every movement. I could see the skin on the palms now, dark, leathery, covered in calluses. I was still recording, but my hands were shaking worse now. Had to get out, had to run. This thing was going to get through that wall. It was just a matter of time. Another minute, maybe 2, and the hole would be big enough for it to climb through. I stopped recording, shoved the phone in my pocket, had to move, had to get out. Now. The creature was still at the front wall, completely focused on tearing through, still pulling at the planks, ripping them away one by one. The hole was nearly 4 feet wide now, big enough for something to squeeze through if it tried. That was my chance, my only chance. While it was busy at the front, I could go out the back. I ran to the bedroom, moved as fast and quiet as I could. My boots were heavy on the floor, but I didn't care anymore. Just had to get out. The bedroom window looked out to the side of the cabin, not directly back, but close enough. The bathroom window was too small. I'd get stuck trying to climb through. But the bedroom window was bigger, big enough for me to fit. I went to the window and unlocked it. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely work the latch. Fumbled with it. Come on, come on. Finally, it clicked open. Behind me, from the main room, the sounds continued. Crashing, splintering. The creature grunting with effort. So focused on breaking through the front that it hadn't noticed I'd moved. I pushed the window up. It stuck for a second, swollen from humidity or age. I pushed harder. It slid up with a squeak that sounded like a scream in the quiet night. I froze, listening. The sounds at the front continued. The thing hadn't heard, or didn't care. Cool night air rushed in through the open window, smelled clean compared to that musty stench from the creature. I looked out, just darkness, trees, could barely see anything, couldn't see the creature from this angle. It was still at the front of the cabin, still tearing at the wall. I pushed the screen out. It fell into the dirt below with a soft thud. Climbed up onto the windowsill, had to move fast now. Once I was outside, I'd be exposed. Squeezed through the window, tight fit, but I made it. My boots scraped against the window frame as I pushed myself through. Dropped down outside, landing in a crouch in the soft dirt. Stayed low, listened. The sounds from the front of the cabin continued, crashing, breaking. The creature was still there, still focused on the wall. But I was out. I was outside. Now I just had to get to the truck. I stayed low and moved along the side of the cabin toward the front. Had to get to the clearing, had to get to the truck. It was my only way out. My legs felt weak, shaky, like they might give out. But I forced myself forward, kept moving, edged around the corner carefully, peeked out into the clearing. I could see the truck 30 feet away across the open ground, 30 feet between me and escape. I could also see the creature. Its back was to me, hadn't turned around, hadn't noticed me yet, still completely focused on the wall. And God, it was massive, at least 7 feet tall, maybe 8. Hard to tell exactly from this angle. Broad shoulders, had to be 4 feet across, body covered entirely in dark hair, black or dark brown. Hard to tell in the darkness and the light spilling from the cabin. It was hunched over slightly, working at the wall, arms moving in powerful motions, ripping, tearing. The muscles in its back rippled with each movement, could see them flexing under all that hair. The legs were thick, powerful. This was it, my only chance. While its back was turned, while it was distracted, I took a deep breath, stood up straight, started running, didn't try to be quiet anymore, just ran. Full sprint across the clearing, feet pounding the dirt, 25 feet, 20 feet, could hear my own breathing, could hear my boots hitting the ground. Loud, way too loud. 15 feet, 10 feet, almost there, almost to the truck. Behind me, the sounds at the wall stopped. Sudden silence. It had heard me, knew I was out here now. I didn't look back, couldn't look back, just kept running. 5 feet, 3 feet, reached the truck. Fumbled with the keys in my pocket. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped them, pulled them out, found the right key, got the key in the lock. Behind me, I heard movement, heavy footsteps, fast. Turned the key, the lock clicked open, yanked the door open, jumped inside, slammed the door shut, hit the lock button, jammed the key into the ignition. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get it in the slot. That's when I heard it, a roar, unlike anything I'd ever heard in my life. Not like a bear, not like a mountain lion, deeper, louder, more primal, full of rage, made the windows rattle in their frames. I turned the key, the engine sputtered, caught for a second, died, number, no. Turned the key again, the engine cranked, sputtered, come on, glanced in the rearview mirror. The creature was coming, running toward me across the clearing, moving impossibly fast for something so big, its arms pumping, its legs eating up the distance. 20 feet away, 15. Turned the key again, the engine caught, roared to life, thank God. Slammed the truck into drive, floored the gas pedal. The tires spun in the dirt, loose gravel flying, the truck lurched forward, not fast enough. The creature was right there, right behind me. 10 feet, 5 feet, then it reached the truck. A massive fist slammed into the driver's side door. The impact was incredible. The whole truck rocked sideways. I felt it through the seat, through the steering wheel. Metal crunched, the door dented inward. But the truck was moving now, tires finding traction, accelerating, 10 miles per hour, 15. I kept the gas floored. The truck's engine roared, 20 miles per hour, 25. Another hit, this time to the back of the truck bed. The whole vehicle shuddered from the impact. I heard metal crumpling, felt the truck fishtail slightly. As the creature swung at the truck bed, its claws scraped along the side, tearing through metal. One claw caught the back edge of my door where the window gap was, raking across my shoulder. I felt fire across my skin, but didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Looked in the side mirror, my hands locked on the steering wheel, my heart hammering. The thing was keeping pace, running alongside the truck, matching its speed. Had to be going 25, maybe 30 miles per hour. Nothing that big should be able to move that fast. Its gait was strange, not quite human, not quite ape, something in between. The arms swung as it ran, the legs powered forward in long strides, each step covering maybe 8-10 feet. impossibly long strides. It swung again, the massive arm arcing toward the truck, the fist connected of the side panel behind the door. I felt the impact, heard the metal scream. But the truck was pulling ahead now, 30 miles per hour, 35. The engine straining, the rough dirt road bouncing me in my seat. The creature couldn't maintain the speed. I watched in the side mirror as it started falling behind, still running, still chasing, but couldn't match the acceleration, 40 miles per hour, way too fast for this road. The truck was bouncing over potholes, swerving around curves. One wrong move and I'd go off the edge. But I didn't care. Had to get distance, had to get away, kept checking the mirror. The creature was still running, still pursuing. But the distance was growing, 20 feet behind, 30 feet, 50 feet. I hit a straight stretch and punched the gas harder, 45 miles per hour, 50. The truck shuddered over the rough road. My teeth rattled. The steering wheel vibrated in my hands. The creature was just a shape now in the mirror, dark against the darker forest, still running but falling farther behind with every second. Then the road curved sharply and trees blocked my view. Couldn't see it anymore. But I didn't slow down, kept the gas pressed to the floor. The truck bouncing and sliding on the loose gravel. Nearly lost control around one curve. The back end slid out. I corrected, kept driving. 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, still didn't slow down. Finally, after what felt like forever, I saw pavement ahead. The dirt road ended. Paved road began. I hit it doing 45 miles per hour. The truck's tires screamed as they found traction on the smooth surface. Only then did I ease off the gas a little, slowed to 40, then 35. My hands were locked on the steering wheel, white-knuckled. My whole body was shaking, my shoulder throbbed, could feel blood soaking through my shirt. But I was alive, I was out, I was away, kept driving, didn't stop, not until I was far away from those mountains. Drove straight through, 3 hours back to civilization. Didn't stop even once. Couldn't stop. The mountain roads were empty at this hour, middle of the night. Just me and the darkness and the endless yellow lines in my headlights. My hand stayed locked on the wheel. My shoulder throbbed. Could feel blood trickling down my back, but I didn't stop to check it. Could deal with it later, just had to keep driving. Around 5 in the morning, I started seeing lights. Buildings, a gas station with its lights on. Never been so happy to see fluorescent lights in my life. Pulled into the lot, sat in the truck for 10 minutes, just breathing, engine idling, trying to process what had happened. Finally got out. My legs were shaky, could barely stand. Went inside the gas station. The clerk was a middle-aged woman, looked half asleep, glanced up when I came in, did a double take. She asked if I was okay, looked concerned. I must have looked like hell. I told her I'd had an accident hiking, fell on some rocks, cut myself. She frowned, looked like she wanted to say more, but I moved past her, grabbed water, grabbed antiseptic, grabbed bandages, box of gauze, medical tape, grabbed a cheap t-shirt because mine was torn and bloody, paid for everything. The clerk kept looking at me. I told her again I was fine, just a hiking accident. She didn't look convinced, but didn't push it. Went to the bathroom, locked the door behind me, looked at myself in the mirror, pale, eyes bloodshot, hands still shaking. Took my shirt off carefully. The fabric was stuck to the wounds. Had to peel it away, hurt like hell. 3 deep scratches running from my shoulder blade toward my neck. Maybe 6 inches long each. Deep enough to need stitches, probably. Deep enough they definitely scar. I cleaned them with water first. The sink ran red, then poured antiseptic over them. Nearly bit through my lip from the pain. It burned like fire. Patted them dry with paper towels as gently as I could. Applied antibiotic ointment. Covered them with gauze pads. Used the medical tape to hold everything in place. put on the new t-shirt, threw the bloody one in the trash, went back out to the truck, got in, sat there for another minute, then started the engine and pulled back onto the road, drove the rest of the way home. The sun started coming up as I hit the outskirts of town, orange light on the horizon, beautiful, normal, safe. Arrived at my house just after 6, pulled into the driveway, sat in the truck looking at my house, my normal, safe, ordinary house. Finally got out, went inside, locked the door behind me, triple-checked it was locked, went straight to the bathroom and took a long, hot shower, watched the dirt and blood wash away down the drain, got out, looked at the bandages on my shoulder, they were soaked through, changed them. The scratches looked angry, red and inflamed, but clean at least. Put on fresh clothes, went to the living room and sat on the couch, just sat there staring at the wall for a while. Then I remembered the video, pulled out my phone. The screen was cracked, must have happened during the escape. Didn't matter, phone still worked. Opened the camera roll, scrolled to the most recent video. There it was, pressed play, shaky footage, my hand trembling as I recorded. The hole in the wall growing, the sounds of wood breaking, and then the face, that face pushing through the gap in the wall. The image was grainy, dark, shaky, but you could see it clearly enough. The massive brow, the heavy jaw, the pale eyes catching the light, looking directly at the camera, looking at me, the matted black fur, the huge teeth, the intelligence in those eyes. I watched it 3 times, couldn't look away. It was real. This actually happened. I had proof. Later that morning, around 8, I called the cabin rental company. Told them there'd been a break-in at the cabin, damage to the property. They asked a bunch of questions. I gave them the basic facts. Something broke into the cabin during the night. Significant damage to the front wall. I left before I could assess everything else. No, I didn't see who or what did it. They asked if I wanted them to call the police. I said no. The company said they'd send someone to check on the property. Never heard from them again after that. The following Tuesday, the kids came home from camp. I picked them up at the drop-off point in town. They came running when they saw me, both talking at once about everything they'd done. They were happy, excited. I hugged them both longer than usual, held them tight. They squirmed and complained I was squeezing too hard. I didn't care, just needed to hold them. On the drive home, they chattered nonstop. I let them talk, only half listening, just happy to hear their voices, happy they were safe. When we got home, they noticed the bandage on my shoulder, asked what happened. I told them I'd had a hiking accident, fell in some rocks. They asked if it hurt. I said not too bad. They seemed satisfied with that and moved on to talking about camp again. They asked about my trip, asked if I'd had fun at the cabin. I told them it was fine, relaxing, exactly what I needed. They didn't ask for details and I didn't offer any. That was 3 months ago. I still have the video. It's saved on my phone and backed up to my computer. Triple backed up, actually. On my phone, on my computer, and on a flash drive I keep in my desk drawer. I watch it sometimes late at night when I can't sleep. When the memories come back and won't let me rest, that face in the gap in the wall, those pale eyes, that massive hand reaching through, I know what I saw. I know it was real. The video proves it. The scars on my shoulder prove it. The scratches healed over the next few weeks, left 3 white scars, parallel lines running from my shoulder blade toward my neck. Permanent. I'll have them for the rest of my life. I tell people they're from a hiking accident. That's what I told the kids. That's what I told my foreman when he asked. That's what I told the doctor when I finally went in to get them checked a week later. The doctor looked at them funny, asked if I was sure they were from rocks. Looked more like claw marks, he said. I stuck to my story. He didn't push it. Sometimes I think about reporting it to someone. Park rangers, fish and wildlife, some research organization. But what would I say? That I was attacked by a Bigfoot? That I've got video proof? They'd either think I was crazy or want to investigate. And if they investigated, they'd want to know where. They'd want to go back there, they'd want to find it. And I can't do that. Can't send people up there, can't be responsible for what might happen to them. Because that thing is still out there, still in those woods, still in those mountains, and it's dangerous, more dangerous than I ever imagined anything could be. I haven't been back to the mountains, haven't been hiking, haven't even been camping in my own backyard. The thought of being in the woods at night makes my stomach turn. The kids keep asking to go camping. They want to go on a trip, want to spend time in nature like they did at camp. I always say no, always come up with some excuse. Too busy with work. Maybe next month, maybe next year. They're starting to get frustrated with me. My daughter asked me the other day why I don't want to go camping anymore. I used to take them all the time when they were younger. What changed? I told her nothing changed, just busy with work. She didn't believe me, but didn't push it. Some people will watch the video and say it's fake, say I made it up, use some costume or special effects or AI, say the scratches on my shoulder are self-inflicted, that I'm looking for attention, that I'm lying. That's fine. Let them think what they want. I know what happened. I know what I saw. I know what tried to break into that cabin, what chased my truck down that mountain road, what left those scars on my shoulder. It's real. It's out there. And I'm never going back. Sometimes late at night, when the house is quiet and the kids are asleep, I think about that figure I saw in the woods on day 3, standing there between the trees, watching me. Was it the same creature that attacked the cabin? Had it been following me since that first day, watching me, studying me, waiting for the right moment? I think it was. I think it saw me that first day and decided I was in its territory, decided I didn't belong there, and it made sure I knew it. The footprints, the scratches on the trees, the attack on the cabin, all of it was deliberate. All of it was designed to drive me away, or maybe to kill me. I'm not sure which. I got lucky. If I hadn't woken up when I did, if I hadn't recorded what was happening, if I hadn't gotten out through that window, if my truck hadn't started, any one of those things goes differently and I'm not here. I'm dead in that cabin or missing in those woods. Another statistic, another person who went into the mountains and never came back. But I did come back, and I've got the proof. The video is only about a minute long. Shaky, dark, but you can see what you need to see. The hole in the wall, the creature's face, those eyes, that hand reaching through. I've thought about posting it online, sending it to researchers, making it public. But something stops me every time. Maybe it's because I know people won't believe it. They'll say it's fake, they'll tear it apart, they'll make me into a joke. Or maybe it's because I know some people will believe it, and they'll want to go looking for it. They'll want to find it, prove it exists, capture it, study it, turn it into a specimen. And I can't be responsible for that either. So the video stays on my phone, on my computer, on that flash drive in my desk. Private, secret, just for me. Proof that I'm not crazy. Proof that what I experienced was real. I never believed in Bigfoot, but I do now. Because I've seen it, I've smelled it, I've heard it, I've felt its claws rake across my skin. It's real. And it's still out there, in those mountains, in those woods, and I'm never going back. For more interesting stories, check this out.